How in the hell is everybody doing? Man Cave Sports back with a Minnesota Twins season preview edition for 2025. Coming off of a season in which the Twins had arguably one of their biggest collapses to end the season. I believe it was, I want to say 12 and 27, and went from a 95% chance to make the playoffs, I believe, with about 3 or 4 weeks left in the season, to succumbing to the Tigers, who had about a 5% chance. So we don't want to dwell on last year. The team was very injured towards the end of the year and partially contributed to that. But do want to talk about this upcoming season. First thing I would like to address, however, is the Minnesota Twins organization, which, let's be honest, the last couple of years has been a little suspect at best. But with FanDuel Sports not carrying the Twins anymore, the Twins, I believe, have a streaming app called Twins TV. However, none of the major cable providers, or I think even the satellite providers, have picked it up yet, and we are less than 24 hours away from the opening of the season. So I don't know if the Twins garner more revenue, which by all reports they could use because they're losing money, which, by the way, dumbasses, probably isn't going to help you sell the team. But it would be nice tomorrow if I know where the hell I can watch the game. So rant over. Let's talk about spring training here. I was fortunate enough to attend a game out at JetBlue out in Fort Myers 2 weeks ago as the Red Sox walked off on the Twins in a actually pretty exciting game. Started out great, was boring midway, and finished out nicely, but had a good time there. Got to see the guys, got to see Brian's favorite player, Joe Ryan, pitch, and he got rocked a little, but
Bam!
I know you're a fan. But spring training, they look all right here. Obviously, the big thing going into the start of the season tomorrow is the injuries. And I will lead with you, Brian. Obviously, Royce Lewis, let's be honest, he is the Twins equivalent of what Robert Smith was his first few years as a Vikings running back.
Right.
Can't keep him on the field. Great talent, can't keep him on the field. Obviously, he's just one of many that have injuries. Let's talk about the injuries as they head into the opener tomorrow.
Well, we were talking on the Man Cave Forefathers text line, the red bat phone that I got next to the bed. And I put out the question, is this an organizational thing? Because we've had this trainer for 3 years, but I remember all this stuff with Mauer, with Morneau. It's always like kind of an issue. Is it nature or is it nurture? Are we drafting players that are, so to speak, more susceptible to be injured, or is it our training staff? It's hard to say, but the weird thing is our injuries are not like somebody diving in the gap and landing wrong. It's like us running the first base. It's always Royce Lewis. It seems Buxton every effing year, he gets hurt sliding headfirst into second base. And it nature or nurture? What is it? I don't know. It's hope springs eternal. The season's starting right now. Let's just see what happens. Big things are Royce and Brooks Lee. I'm a huge Brooks Lee guy. He's baseball coach's kid. I mean, that guy can rake from both sides of the plate. But without those two, I think the big key, how we start, and we're going to have to be like the Wild this year. We're going to have a good first 2 months, just in case something happens, which it always does. But it's Julian and Miranda. Are they ready? That's the big thing as far as the injuries as I go. And Mr. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm just trying to dodge all the aluminum foil flying off your tin hat there, bud.
Where's razor? I need my razor.
It's an organization. The trainers, the head trainer's only been there, what, 3-4 years, and you've got other. I mean, come on, what's his name, Solano or whatever, Serrano. He never, he made I think he only played over 100 games in 3 years, and out of 8 or 9. And this training staff wasn't, there's only one person on this training staff that was here for that. So,
hey, I'm just saying, Mr. Steve. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna stick to, when I was putting in our group chat there, I'm gonna stick to it. I think the problem is that because our payroll is so crap that we can't absorb any injuries, right? Like because we're like number 19 out of 32 in payroll, we can't absorb when a guy gets hurt or gets injured. There's no next man up. We're like digging through waiver wires and looking in AAA and AA to try to find somebody that we can try to squeeze 2, 3 good at bats out of to help keep us going. I mean, sometimes it's fine. You get our Forest Lake's own Matt Wallner coming up, and that's and you get some great opportunities. You get to see some kids like that, which is awesome. But I'm sorry, the Polad pocket protectors out there that are just like, you can't spend this, you can't spend that. You know what? Shut up. If you spend money, you're going to make the postseason and you're going to make more money because you're in the postseason. Everything comes from making the postseason. When you don't make the postseason, when you don't win in the postseason, when you're trash, this is what happens is that you don't have the money to spend. You don't bother to spend it. And so you're reliant on a core group of guys. And if any of them gets bugged, get by the injury bug, now you're really scrambling to try to make up for it. And I think that's the biggest problem is that you can't afford to lose Buxton and Lewis and, Correa and some of these other guys. You can't afford to lose them because it takes too much out of your batting, too much out of your defense. And now you're SOL. So, these guys are going to be injury prone. They've been injury prone their whole time. It's up to the organization to be able to backstop that and be able to bring in players that can come in and fill the gaps. Cause we know that I mean, heck, I don't know how many of them have made, more than 90 some games a season ever. It's been years since some of these guys have even played 100. So, they're going to be out. They're going to be injured. The front office and the Polads, they got to put out some money and be able to absorb that. So I'm going to pass it over to the smart kid, Ian, and he can talk to me about why I'm not making sense. Or maybe he's a tinfoil guy like Naughton.
Speaking of which, I'd like to come on, man. I'd like to introduce a new contributor to Man Cave Sports, as Mr. Steve just alluded to, his offspring, Ian. Ian is joining us from New Haven, Florida, which good to have you. Good to see you again. Now we have Chicago. We have talent all over the country. So good to have you, Ian. What do you think about the Twins' injuries and how they're kind of limping into the season opener tomorrow?
Yeah, thanks for having me. We know Royce is going to be, when he's in, he's he's an all-star, but he just has the issues with the bugs, not being able to stay healthy. Why is it always like we were saying, why is it always just running to first base? Like, why is that an issue? Why do we have, or how can Buxton not play the outfield day in and day out? Yes, it's a hard, grueling schedule, but he can't just DH the whole time, or if he gets hurt running all the time. And now with Brooks Lee being out and missing opening day, we're really struggling for infielders right now. Miranda's going to have to step up. Julian's going to have to step up. Julian had a down year last year. He's going to have to step it up, play at the caliber that, we think he can play at. And then one of our new guys, Mikey Casper, had a cut on his foot. They say he's going to be ready for opening day, but he's going to be our utility guy this year. He's going to have to step up while our guys are out, and more injury bugs are going to come. That's just the way it is with Minnesota sports in general and the Twins. So that's all really I have.
All right. Appreciate it. Welcome aboard. Next thing we can talk about both sides of the pitching, the starters and the bullpen, because we initially had decided to talk about the starting rotation, but I know you guys had some opinions about the relief corps as well. Obviously, I think we're strong at the front three. I have some questions with Paddock. It's last year the team had a decent pitching staff about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way through the season, and then it kind of faded towards the end of the year. Obviously, Lopez, I don't think anybody's concerned about him. Brian, what do you think about the starting five as it sits going into tomorrow?
You know how I feel about two of them. I'm a Pablo guy. I'm a a huge Joe Ryan guy. I liked. I'm hearing that Joe Ryan's adding another pitch, working on his changeup because he's just basically a fastball pitcher. But that ball sneaks up on you, and he just seems to have the temperament to be a Greg Maddux. I don't want to be on the preposterous statement tournament, but he's got kind of that makeup as one of those smart guys in placement and whatnot. Pablo, I love Ober, big guy. Sim was there all last year, and he had his ups and downs. Is basically his rookie year, but he stayed healthy. He was in there. He had high points, he had low points, but he had a lot of mid points as a rookie, and I thought that was pretty good. Paddock, the sheriff, that's a huge thing. As I was telling Mr. Steve earlier on, he reminds me of Garrett Cole, real tall guy, freewheeling, high spin rate. He's throwing 95, 96, but it seems to get in there quicker, a la Joe Ryan. I feel really good about having Uncle Festa in St. Paul. Zebby Matthews. I'm a huge Zebby Matthews fan. I guess he's throwing 97, 98 right now. So I feel really good about that. But this is the one thing that I'm going to uncork from the Book of None. Thing that's been driving me nuts for like 5-7 years. Where is a left-handed pitcher, starting pitcher? I mean, just to break up rotation in a 3 out of 5 series, it seems like, what we have, Smeltzer, another Albers. I mean, we just never really had that left-hander to break up that rotation. So it just seems like opposing hitters coming in, especially Detroit, Kansas City, Cleveland. And they are the Indians. We'll say that. Especially, they know, okay, how do we prepare for the Minnesota Twins? Well, you prepare with right-handed batting practice pitchers. You know what's going to happen. That's the only thing that I'm miffed by it. I can't even figure out why we've never had a third or fourth starter that's a left-hander. It just breaks up everything. I mean, there's certain people that can't hit left-handed pitching, especially left-handers. So they'd be on the bench. Managers and pitching coaches have to scramble on that, hitting coaches. But that's about what I have to say about that. Mr. Steve, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm just the only thing I'm going to do after that diatribe is just talk about how Joe Ryan seems to shit the bed in the big moments. I'm tired of when we need last year. I mean, come on, how many times we're like, oh man, we got to have this. We're sliding and okay, Joe Ryan, okay, and Joe we trust, and then he craps the bed. You end up with a garbage outing from him. I just. It's one of those things. Again, we can't absorb that, and you end up. The problem is that when he comes up and craps the bed, then we got some middle relief guy, and we got to duct tape and staple our pitching rotation, and then hope and pray we can get to Durant. Get to our friend Johan at the end there of the game to maybe be in a position to close it out. Especially when we're not getting offense. When we talk about the injuries there. Joe Ryan for me is kind of the wild card when it comes to this rotation because he'll start, he'll get you 15 wins, but when you need it, no, he doesn't do it. I can't depend on that guy. I wouldn't have been bothered if we went a different direction, but Joe Ryan, he's got that. Like Sammy D on the Vikings, right? Sammy D, you need him to step up in the big game, and all of a sudden, he starts vibrating and shaking, and you don't know what's going on. I don't know. I just that's all I'm going to say. But I will let the former left-hand pitcher down there in the corner for me take over. Maybe he's got some more insight to talk me off a ledge, but I'm not trusting Joe Ryan.
Yeah, Pablo's our guy right now. That's obvious. That's why he's got the money. That's why we traded for him. His ERA was a little bit high last year. Would love to see that come down, maybe to the 3s instead of being up in the around the 4. Bailey Ober had a phenomenal season last year. He went 12-9, career highs in everything. He had innings pitched, strikeouts. average against was really low, and he also had a solid spring with the ERA of 1.77. It's only 5 games, right? But it looks like he's capitalizing. Looks like he's coming in and he's building off of what he did last year. I think he's going to be another phenomenal pitcher. I want to I want to see him keep being great, keep being what he was last year. Joe Ryan last year, he had a solid season, but it was, he had issues with injuries, being in and out of the line, being in and out. I do like him, you know, only just above 200 on for batting against, which was great. We want to keep that low. This spring, it was all right. It's tune-up games. Doesn't really matter. And then, with Richardson, he's coming in. He had a couple. He helped us out with arm injuries last year. Would love to see how he comes into this year. He's the big dark horse, I think, in this race, in the starting rotation. He's going to have a lot of growing pains because it's going to be his first season, but he's going to learn a lot. So I feel like he has a high ceiling, but then there's also going to be a lot of lows that we'll see just due to the fact that he's coming in and this is his first season. Uh, Paddock's, you know, I think he can be a decent pitcher. His ERA has been up in the high fours throughout his career. He's been struggling coming back from TJ, and if he can stay healthy, I think he'll be very serviceable. But there's just a lot of what if with him right now because it seems like he can come in, start a couple games, and then he has an issue with his arm, and then he's gone. And so, you know, Zebby Matthews, I think, is going to be probably one of the first guys up coming in for any arm issues, any possibilities with people not performing as they should. And I'm really high on what he can do for us. And like was said earlier, we need a left-hander because I think we only have one on our whole roster right now, and it's like what we need another lefty to mix things up, whether he's a starter or whether he's like a mid reliever to help us out.
Hey, may I say, is Cologne the only left-hander on the staff, even in the bullpen? I thought there was another one.
I from what I was seeing, I thought it was just him for right now.
Uh-oh.
I think you have to have at least two or three, looking at how switch hitting isn't easy, but coming into but even righties are going to struggle. Even righties do struggle with lefties. That's just
Variety is spice of life.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster right now. He is the only lefty.
Wow. See, that's insane to me. I can't even.
Yeah, I think we should pick up somebody or bring somebody up. Don't know who that guy would be yet, but we definitely need to get some lefties in.
All right. We can talk briefly about the bullpen. I'll just leave it open for him. I don't have anything horribly incredible to add to it other than Duran's coming back. Did I see a report out of spring training his fastball's down a little bit? Or is that just
It's
reading some anonymous sources? Brian, any concerns about the bullpen? I know you and Mr. Steve had an interesting conversation before we went on here. I think Brian, you said they're very well regarded. Steve, you had
yes,
so
absolutely.
Brian, which one of your impeccable sources had him ranked? I believe you said third.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever comes up on the interweb when I'm scrolling through shit. I think it was the Sporting News or something like that. And I don't like your tone. Your tone's like all wrong. But the bullpen,
wrong.
Other than the one left-hander, I still don't understand it. like let's say a left-handed hitter's 3 for 3 and it's a seventh inning and he's seeing the ball well, and you got one guy on your whole pitching staff, 13 people that can. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. But the bullpen is highly regarded. Griffin Jacks had a great year last year. The Justin Topa guy that we got from Seattle for Polanco. I mean, that guy's got a splitter that it bends legs. But and then we got Dobnak. Dobnak made the team as a long reliever. It just Derek Falvey is his pitching guru. We got him from Cleveland, and granted, that pitching staff was great with Tito when we got him. It's just I don't understand the left-handed problem. It's turned into an analytical type of thing, but geez, just give yourself some options. But as far as the rest of the bullpen go, I have no quarrels with it. But I just, like I said, it's really easy to prepare for us. And that's all I got to say. Mr. Steve.
Yeah, I love your rosy red
I'm
glasses
positive.
you wear. Yeah, I know. You're positive on the you have two modes, right? The rosy glasses or the tin hat, right? That either one, it depends on what we're talking about, I guess. But for me, I'm not as high on the bullpen. Too many games last year trying to duct tape and band-aid their pitching staff together to be able to get to Duran or Jax. Duran and Jax, they can slam the door shut on people, and I love that. It's one of the most exciting parts. Sometimes I don't even bother to tune in until it gets to like the seventh inning to see which one of those two guys are pitching, because I love watching. I love his whole attitude, his aura, as the kids say, right? He comes out there and he's just like daring you to hit the pitch, and he's not afraid to just say, I'm bringing you 3 straight heaters and you're not going to do a damn thing about it. I love that attitude about him. It's fantastic. So there's my positivity. I love those two guys. It's one of my favorite parts that even if the Twins are getting rocked like 15-0 or something, they throw one of these two guys in there. I just want to see I love the attitude and the way that they approach the game. And that, they're up on the mound and this is, it's their field and you're lucky to be standing on it. It's kind of like that KG attitude. I love that. Rest of our bullpen, it's like, okay, great. We got some leave-ins from Cleveland. Thanks. Appreciate that. We got somebody left over from the armpit of America. Thanks for giving them to us. We appreciate you. Could you wash him before he comes over? We'll throw in a bag of deodorant or something. I don't know how that, I mean, it's one of those things that if we could get decent offense, right? Get our starting pitcher to make it, the fifth inning. Then it's like, all right, bringing one of these other guys in for 1-2 innings or so to be able to get us to one of our closers. I'm completely comfortable with that. They can get us an inning or two. Hopefully they'll completely crap in the bed. But it was just too many times, and I'm too hurt by last season. The slide. I'm too injured. From watching these guys go in there and, even we have a 4-0 lead or something like that. You get to the middle relievers and all of a sudden we're down 7-4 and you're like, what just happened? You had 2 innings. You had one job. You had 2 innings to pitch. That was it. And you just, I'm going to wait and see how the bullpen does. Our starters are pretty good. I'm not a big fan of Ryan, but we got some high caliber guys on the front end. Our back end guys will shut the door real hard on you. But the bullpen itself, the middle, I don't have confidence yet. I'll wait to see. I'm going to reserve judgment. I'm hoping I've got a monocle. I got a rose colored monocle. I can't put the full glasses on. I got the rose colored monocle. I'm trying to look at it through the positive lens that Mr. Naughton brings, but I'm not there yet. I will let, again, the former pitcher correct me. But I don't think so.
Yeah, obviously Duran and Jax are our guys. Like, you put them in, they got that FU attitude, come hit it, like come get us. And that's what I love as a pitcher. Like, as a former pitcher, just coming in and say, hey, this is my stuff, come and hit it. And I think the Twins organization as a whole needs to have a little bit of that grit to them, which I like. You know, I I like I like who's in our bullpen right now, but I think we just have to wait and see right now. Besides for our top two guys, it's really just who's gonna who's gonna be able to step up and eat 1 or 2 innings or come and get a guy. Go get go get somebody that we need out, before he can get to our big two in the back end. Um, I'm I'm really not I'm surprised we got what's his name, Dobnik on the roster. I was surprised they picked him up. He did a stint with us, I'm pretty sure, earlier a few times. But I'm just I'm not sold on him. He doesn't throw that hard, doesn't have that much stuff, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, Dobnik. That takes me back about what 6 years ago when Rocco infamously threw him into Game 2 at Yankee Stadium.
Uber.
Yeah,
All right.
that was interesting. One of my favorites, Twins team. Unfortunately, we got bitten by the Yankee snake that we have so many times in the playoffs over the last 20 some years. But anyways, on to the next subject, which unfortunately we discussed a lot in our Timberwolves weekly broadcast, and that is ownership. As the ownership page turns for the Timberwolves, unfortunately, another new drama uh, comes to light for the Twins, who were for sale this offseason. I believe the going rate was somewhere in the vicinity of 1.5 billion. I know the Suns owner was interested in that, but if I'm not mistaken, he's a part owner of the White Sox and has since backed off from attempting to buy the team. It doesn't help that the poll ads this week, if they're in the market of selling, talked about their operating losses pretty openly, which I don't know which one of those handsome sons of Carl, were the ones who leaked that out. But anyways, and I did see one other thing, I think yesterday as well, that whichever one of them talked to Gleeman or whoever it was, stated that they wanted to still be a part of the franchise, much like Glenn Taylor, took 3 years to sell the damn team, and we saw the fiasco that has presented itself over the last year with the Timberwolves. So I think it's safe to say that the majority of Minnesota sports fans would like to see the Polad family disappear, much like Glenn. Obviously, Brian being the exception, the only Glenn Taylor fan in the state of Minnesota.
No free chicken at the Twins games, right? There's no free chicken, so you can't even claim that.
Yeah, yeah. You can't read your strip with your chicken wings. The Polads, I think they still own a lot of the banks around here. But anyways, I think the fan base is ready for the Polads to move on. God bless Carl. He brought us 2 World Series, but unfortunately with the with his children, we just haven't had the same success. Had a lot of good teams and made some playoffs, but what do you think about the current ownership situation, Brian? And it looks like, by my guesstimate, there's probably nothing going to happen this season as far as the sale of the Twins.
Well, the first thing is I was all hot and bothered. I was going through menopause about one of the Ishbias owning this team. Oh, yeah, we're going to spend some money and let's see what happens. You saw what they did at Phoenix. I mean, they bring in Beal, Durantula, Booker. I mean, all they care about is product. And I was foolishly sucked in on that. I thought it was going to happen. And I thought it was going to be awesome. But he did have that 20% ownership stake with the White Sox. Reinsdorf ain't going to be there forever. I mean, that guy's as old as you, Mike. He's got to sell. So he basically, the Ishbia guy, he basically put the Twins on the market, and his PR people put it out there just so he could get what he wanted from the White Sox. And that sucks. That sucks.
Played him like a fiddle.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That's what billionaires do to billionaires. It's crazy. But as far as anything I see on the horizon, I heard that there was a $1.5 billion offer from an unnamed group, and they turned it down. And then that bullshit. I mean, that boggled my mind. Hey, we'll sell it for cheaper if you let Jojo Polad run it and keep the staff. That was just like mortifying. Yeah, I mean, how do you even like say, hey, yeah, give me 1.4 billion, but we're still going to run the team and status quo. Just outrageous. It. I do hear that there is still interest. They want 1.7. They've been offered 1.5. Is that true? Who knows? Who knows? It's all a crapshoot with how these guys work. But I can see if the Polads say, "Hey, we're done. We're going to keep the team. We changed our mind." I can see that being a PR nightmare right now, especially from everything we've just talked about during this cast. I mean, periodically, the TV deal, the not spending the money, the injuries. Yeah, you build us a stadium and we'll bring a bunch of World Series. No, they didn't do that. So I think it's damn near impossible for them to keep the team, but they might try to keep it for one more year. What do you think, Mr. Steve?
I hate the Pohlads more than I hate Glenn Taylor. I'll tell you that right now. Glenn Taylor is just incompetent, right? I don't think he's necessarily.
Bro.
I don't think that Glenn Taylor intentionally set out to screw the Timberwolves or the fans or anything like that. I think it just was what it was. He didn't know what he was doing when it came to running a basketball franchise. The Pohlads screwed the state of Minnesota. Their whole thing with that damn stadium, you know, to get us to put in tax dollars and everything else was that, oh, we can't pay more for payroll because we don't have enough. We gotta have suites. We gotta have this. We can't do it. You know, you guys do. Help us do this, and then we can spend more money and get more players. And we didn't do crap. Our payroll's gone down. It's gone down. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of shocked how there isn't like some sort of fraudulent thing that you can press against these guys or something, because the whole bill of goods to get us to do this was so they could spend money on the roster. We could get more, we're going to get, this and that. And they threw a bunch of money at Joe Mauer to keep the hometown kid home. And everybody's like, yay, jack crap around him. Wasted Joe Mauer, wasted all these years in which we had some real opportunity. You spend on one or two more pieces, a couple of guys to bolster, the bullpen, get some more offense in for when our players are hurt and falling over because their legs are made out of freaking rubber bands. You spend the money and now we're in a different thing. And guess what? You spend money, you make money. It's a basic policy of business, right? Basic tenet of business. The Pohlads screwed the state of Minnesota. They screwed us as fans, and they've been doing it, and they don't care. They don't care that we don't make it, that we're fighting for maybe a division title and maybe we'll squeak into the playoffs. They don't care. They could, they were completely fine with us making it into the playoffs and getting bounced in the first round. They were completely okay with that. Oh, that's fine. We made it. Keep the money coming in, keep the money coming in. And now they want to sit there and screw us out of the, getting over to somewhere else. If the Pohlads, they can't leave fast enough. I'm just going to put it like that. We can't ship them out fast enough. I don't, like I said, Glenn Taylor, I think is just a little, incompetent when it comes to running a sports franchise. I don't think he has any ill will towards the fans. I don't think he tried to screw us over. The Pohlads, on the other hand, just have been saying F you for about 15 years. They don't care. They're not going to spend the money. They got our money to build them a new, nice Target Field stadium that they can use for concerts and this and that and all this other BS. And then we get jack crap for a product. Where, Falvey and Levine, they brought in Falvey and Levine, the Wizard boys, to try and figure out how to squeeze every ounce of talent out of any roster they can find. They scanning, double A, triple A, trying to find these guys that were, they were off for a season because of an injury, but we think they're a reclamation project. I'm sorry, the Pohlads, it's been screwing us. I cannot wait for them to be gone. The sooner, the better.
Ian.
Well, going off of that, they've been open about our debts recently. $425 million in debt, which, I think every single major league team is somewhat in debt just because of business expenses, right? The Twins are only estimated somewhere right around $1.5 million from it's like 1.6 to 1.7, so we'll call it 1.5. Um, I don't see the team being sold until probably next season, just because with the debt that the new buyer is going to have to take on, um, the team, we've only gone to we went to the playoffs in 2023, right? And that was really it. We haven't been putting out the product. Why would somebody want to come in and pay $1.5 million to not see a team put out? And the Target Field is great. We all love Target Field, but nobody owns the Twins don't own the Target Field. It's owned by uh, Minnesota Baseball Association. So it's just like they need to get moved on, and we need to get somebody new, fresh, uh, get better ideas in, and see what works from there.
Yeah, and I'd venture to say, because I know you guys might remember back when they had their episodes with Fox Sports North. Remember when they tried to launch Victory Sports, that colossal failure? Hopefully this Twins.tv or whatever the hell streaming option that none of the cable providers are able to carry as of right now, nearly 12 hours or 15, 16 hours away from the damn opener tomorrow. Hopefully this can generate some additional revenue. Now, as a Minnesotan, we don't expect them to compete with the Dodgers and the Yankees of the world. However, you have a lot of teams that are still in a similar financial situation that are able to do that, and a lot of those franchises don't have the minor league plethora of talent that the Twins have historically have and still do have. I mean, that's the one good thing that's kept the Twins on the map over the years is their farm system's always been amongst the best in baseball. So, with
How can that be if we have bad trainers?
Yeah. Just bad trainers in the majors. I guess our minor league ones need to be promoted.
Yeah.
But anyways, and I do like the move, to bring the AAA team to turn the Saints into the AAA team. That's just an efficiency that they had that other teams in MLB don't. So I think it's a great move. I still have to get out there and watch a game. I have not been there since they did that move. And I know our esteemed colleague, Mr. B. Naughty, plays down there, 2 or 3 times a year, don't you?
Probably a little bit more. It's always a hoot, though.
All right. Well, if you can get us some free tickets, we will be there to see you. Anyway,
I got you. I promise.
All right. We'll finish up our Twins 2025 preview show with predictions. I will go ahead and start out. I was thinking about this a bit today, just kind of looking at the landscape of the division, everything else. But last year they struggled at the end, didn't make it. I truly thought that they were going to have a decent shot to do some damage in the playoffs, like they did the year before, where they finally won a series for the first time in like 20 years. But I had the Twins pegged if they can stay healthy. I think the pitching staff. I think we're going good in the season. Obviously, there's a couple of injuries we're concerned about to start, but I had the Twins pegged to go 86 and 76, which may or may not be good enough for the division, but I think will at least be good enough for a wild card. Be naughty.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. The Vegas odds, the over under is anywhere from 83.5 to 84.5, and just how much hurt they put us through, Michael. I mean, we've been on this earth for 50 years, and we were 3 years old. Other than those World Series wins, it's tough. But I've been thinking about it. I can see it being like kind of a wash here. I can see it being 81 and 81 or just something around there. But I am the positive guy of this crew, and I gotta stick with the positivity. I'm gonna go 87 to 90 wins. That's my prediction. Mr. Steve, what do you have?
Write down the date, write down the time. We're actually agreeing. I pegged the Twins to be at 87 wins. I thought I would try to be a little bit more rose-colored glasses here, maybe put both lenses in. I was looking at, if we pitching, if we get the performance out of the bullpen that people are predicting we're supposed to get. If we get, in Matt Wallner, we trust that Forest Lake kid is going to come through. He's going to win us a couple games. He's going to do some cool stuff. And so I'm thinking that kid is going to get us 1 or 2 W's because he's going to do something cool. The rest of it's probably going to stand pat. I think we had 84 wins last year. So I think Matt Wallner is going to score us a couple more wins. I had us at 87 wins, and we'll be right where we always are with these Poleds and their lack of spending money. We're going to be fighting for either division or trying to squeak into that wild card. We'll try to make the little engine that could, right? So I got us at 87 wins.
Yeah. We've been talking about our injuries, with us staying healthy and piecing everything together. I got us at 85 wins. That should be good enough right around there to get us in possibly a wild card spot and possibly win the division. We all know the AL is always a crapshoot. You never know who's going to win what, or how many. We're all really close and really, really, really close when it comes to games. I think it's really going to depend down in the stretch of who wins a few certain games or wins 1 or 2 series of games. That'll really, really decide who's going to be able to take the AL Central. So,
all right, appreciate it, gentlemen. Ian, great to have you aboard as well. For those of you that like our Man Cave content, this group will discuss putting out perhaps a weekly, if not, I would say at least a bi-weekly edition. We'll have to name it first, though, so you guys all have a homework assignment. Free Man Cave sports sticker to whichever one.
We can call it Tanking with the Twins.
I don't like.
Work on it. All right, gentlemen, it's been real. Looking forward to the season starting tomorrow, and we'll get this group back together again soon. Go Twins. Thanks, everybody.